Hello, everybody. It's good to be live. Well, there's a big movement to get Joe Rogan canceled from Spotify because apparently he's a big racist. But is this a grassroots movement or is it a well-funded movement? Appears to be a very well-funded movement. I'm going to break some of these details down for you and look at the names of funders. I'm also going to talk about people getting arrested in the capital of Canada as Canada's leader is still in hiding on this 10th day of the occupation of Ottawa. People delivering gasoline to the truckers may be arrested now. Several were arrested over the weekend. And a judge has just ruled it is currently illegal to honk your horn in Ottawa. Interesting updates out of Ottawa. I'll have some updates out of the U.S. as well in regards to the convoy, as there's a vicious attack against the movement to organize a convoy in the U.S. There's been quite a bit of disarray, but I'm going to connect a few dots for you guys on what's going on there. The same time that the Canadian GoFundMe was dismantled, the American GoFundMe was also dismantled, not as well covered, but a convoy had been planned to several U.S.-Canadian border points where more blockades were planned to be formed, and that was all taken down. As people were stripped from their funding, they did not end up going to the border after all. They're planning on going to the border this coming weekend instead, as they have moved their fundraiser to Give, Send, Go. So I'm going to update you guys on all that and also talk about crying Canadians, crying Olympians. And, China's hosting the Winter Olympics right now, and China likes to play dirty. Is that any surprise? Why not just lock up your opponents? Sorry, you have COVID. You're not going to be able to compete today. So we're going to share with you some updates on the quarantine camps in China and the lovely athletes who are locked up right there right now. So before I jump into the Joe Rogan anti-Joe fundraisers that are going on, shout out the sponsor of my coverage, which is Age with Ivory. So within no time, this product has helped reduce the appearance of fine lines, return skin to its former elasticity, and give your skin a more youthful glow. A lot of people using Age with Ivory say that it is their skin's much more vibrant, tighter, firmer, smoother than they've seen in years. I highly recommend Age with Ivory. Get it today for up to 38% off for a limited time by going to agewithivory.com or click the link down below. I have some of their products, and I think that I love it because they have very natural ingredients that actually work. This is the BioTrust brand that I have partnered with, Ageless Glow Rejuvenating Skin Serum, also known as Age with Ivory, agewithivory.com. Link down below. Go support the sponsor of my coverage. Okay, so let's get into this now. You guys may have seen the viral video going around, a montage of Joe Rogan saying the N-word. Have you guys seen it? This put out by Patriot Takes. Looks like a nice little grassroots Twitter account. No, this is actually a political action committee Twitter account. Patriot Takes is actually funded by a political action committee. Surprise, surprise, it's a raging leftist political action committee that takes all of its fundraising and puts it into getting Democrats in office. It also puts out hit pieces on anyone who goes against the narrative. But is this a hit piece, or is it just what Joe Rogan actually said? Here's what he said.
The nigger thing.
Yeah, saying the word nigger.
I already said nigger.
He is just like nigger. Saying nigger.
She's calling you a nigger. It's like this boy that he's a nigger.
Starts calling them niggers.
Word nigger.
there should be a word like nigger, especially like the word nigger. That's our nigger.
About niggers.
He says nigger. Guy, a nigger. And then our niggers start saying nigger. Allowed to use the word nigger. Out the word nigger, see nigger or nigger. Say nigger, and he couldn't say nigger. And what's nigger? Nigger.
Like, you know,
The nigger thing.
yes.
Saying the
Yeah.
word nigger.
So there it
Oh,
is.
you
Now
already
it's on
said
repeat.
nigger.
Yeah. Someone in the comments said Joe Rogan said that he did, or I'm sorry, that Joe Biden said that. Joe Biden has pretty recently said it. It's funny you say that. I forgot that Joe Biden said that pretty recently in a speech. He said the N word. I would have had that queued up and ready for you guys to see. But when Joe Biden says it, it makes zero headlines. But anyway, so Patriot Takes is been for the past several days. So that one came out January 30th. Nonstop anti-Joe Rogan posts now. And well, Joe Rogan responded saying, look, you guys have this out of context. That's not really fair to me. He says, I am embarrassed. He did say he's embarrassed about that, but he says it's out of context. Did you guys see what he said? And then I'll get into who's actually funding this. But here's Joe Rogan apologizing.
I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly. There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks fucking horrible, even to me. Now, I know that to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, never mind publicly on a podcast. And I agree with that now. I haven't said it in years, but for a long time, when I would bring that word up, like if it would come up in conversation, instead of saying the N word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. Like that context was part of the clip we were talking about Red Fox, how Red Fox said that word on television in the 1970s and how times have changed so much since then.
Yeah, so he's talking about, look, you're bringing up the topic of how culture has changed and how it used to be more acceptable to say. And in telling that story, you're actually saying the N-word. So that's what Rogan was doing on a show, is saying the N-word in the context of saying how the culture on the N-word has changed. But now he realized you can't even talk about the history of the N-word well saying there is no context in which you can say the N-word in 2022 is what he's saying. Anyway, so he's totally like backpedaling on that and apologizing big time. And so Patriot Takes is laying back into him and saying, out of context, what are you talking about, Joe? And so they gave an interesting clip of a full context. Here's what Joe Rogan, here's a full context of Joe talking about that word. And again, Patriot Takes putting this out.
When you say the N word, you're saying like, it cannot be spoken. It cannot be uttered. It is a sacred word.
Yeah.
It is a magic word. If you say it, Candyman will come.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's very weird. It's very weird that we've ever allowed that. It's one thing, like, you could say spick. No one's going to get mad.
Mm.
You know? Like, it's not as racially charged. You know?
Yeah.
And then there's other ones that, like, you can just get away with all day. Like Irish ones
Oh,
or
yeah.
Italian
Mick or Guido or...
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You can call me a Guido all day. I don't give a fuck. No one cares. No one
Shank
gets
is a
mad at
tough
that.
one. They get very upset about
Shank's
Shank.
rough.
Yeah.
Gook. How about Gook? That's a rough one.
Oh, that's a really rough one.
Yeah, but the N word, you won't say it. Look at you. Say it.
Nigger.
So he's getting a lot of hate for telling his guest right there to say the N-word. But anyway, the context which he was discussing there is he was actually saying the thought process that I've heard many people of all races talk about, of like, why is that? Why are people giving so much energy to that word and like propping it up on this weird pedestal? And the culture of the word has changed a lot. And I remember it was about a decade ago that a popular rap song came out. The censored version was "My Hitta," but the rapper is in an endearing way shouting out his buddy by calling him the N-word throughout the entire song, and it's the name of the song, and it became a popular thing amongst millennials. A popular shout out. There was Miss Teen USA, I believe she was, who tweeted at her friend, my hitta, but saying the N-word to her. And nobody thought anything of it at the time. It was a total pop culture thing. Well, a couple years later, it was a huge taboo. And those the tweets were brought back up. The girl was canceled. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm resigning from pageants. And anyway, it's interesting how this culture has changed, and it's one of the easiest ways to cancel someone. So it was interesting in going through all of these at Patriot Take tweets. One of their tweets is a fundraising tweets. They're taking this opportunity to raise more money by fundraising. So when you see their fundraising platform, you can see exactly who is actually behind this Twitter, which is actually a political action committee. Here it is. This is the page they tweeted out here. Patriot Takes Research Fund. They are asking for you to give them money as they work hard to hold the GOP and these guys that I'm not supposed to talk about on Twitter or on YouTube, the traitors and insurrectionists and criminals accountable. But we need your help going into the midterms. So it's actually actblue.com, paid for by actblue.com. So Patriot Takes is actually a part of the Act Blue Political Action Committee. That you hear that color blue, they're talking about political blue. Yeah, it's all Democrat. And you can actually, because it's a political action committee, you can look up who the donors are. Now, I guess they have a cutoff with how much you can donate at 5. Oh, I'm sorry. This is their other partner. I was going to show you both of these. So if you look at Patriot Takes on Twitter, their bio says they are partnered with Midas Touch, which is another political action committee. It's a super PAC. And these are both leftist Democrat super PACs funneling their money into Democrat campaigns to turn America blue. Because these are political action committees, you can look up the names of all their donors and how much they've donated on the Federal Election Commission website, fec.gov. That's where I'm at. Just type in Midas Touch and you can see. So this is these are the two Twitter accounts that are like, oh, we're just, a fun little grassroots tweeting out funny videos. No, their main job is to they're getting paid by their donors to take down anyone who goes against the leftist movement. And you can see the top donor to Midas Touch is Bette Midler, the actress and singer, who the day before the 2020 election donated $50,000. Reid Hoffman, I guess he's the founder of LinkedIn. He donated $12,000. He's the next biggest. But these are a lot of small donations coming in. This is the partner of Patriot Takes, who's the main page pumping out the anti-Rogan stuff right now, because as we know, Rogan is against the narrative right now, just, you know, nonchalantly against the narrative, like, hey, just for fun, I think I'll have this guy on my podcast who has a differing opinion, because I think differing opinions are interesting. And the leftist narrative is like, how dare you? So here we have, this is Act Blue. So Act Blue is the political action committee behind Patriot Takes Twitter. And you can see they received 15 million donations in the past 6 years. 15 million donations. They have a cutoff of $5,000 for the donation amount, looks like. And you can scroll through and see everyone who's donated to this leftist cause that is currently out to get Joe Rogan, but they're anti-Trump. They're very anti-Trump, anti-anything right-wing right now. And OpenSecrets.com has a good look at where campaign financing is used, and they break this stuff down as well. Here's their page. There's Act Blue, which is again acting like just a grassroots movement on Twitter, but they're actually here's where this is a breakdown. Donations to Democrats versus donations to Republicans. Looks like they stopped reporting by party in 2014, but all the donations were going to Democrats, none to Republicans. And it also says they raised over $4 billion just in the year 2019 through 2020. $4 billion coming from small grassroots donations. It's insane. It's like unheard of. And have you guys ever heard of Act Blue? Act Blue is I've never heard of that political action committee. Yet in 2019 to 2020, they raised over $4 billion from supposedly grassroots, just podunk Americans throwing $20 in the pot. Do you guys buy that? It seems a little fishy to me. You know, with the way bots in our society in 2020 work, it would be easy to break donations down into small amounts. And you know, if someone like George Soros wanted to make it look grassroots, just send a bunch of bots to each donate $20 or something. But anyway, that's the group that's actually behind this big anti-Joe Rogan movement, taking big donations from actresses like Bette Midler and a lot of anti-America type of people. Now, the founders of these groups are actually the Midas Touch brothers, are actually the sons of Kenny Meiselas. There's a variety article about this. Kenny Meiselas is a famous entertainment lawyer who represents people like Lady Gaga and Lizzo. One of his sons is attorney representing ex-NFL dude Colin Kaepernick, and another one of his sons was the video editor for Ellen DeGeneres, and now they have formed a political action committee and putting all their efforts into Patriot Takes. It's interesting that it's an anti-patriot political action committee that has its Twitter account set up to look patriotic, with called Patriot Takes, with an American flag there, but they're against the Patriot movement. So interesting take they're doing, and using their anti-Joe Rogan movement right now to fundraise, which will go into the 2022 election. All right. With that being said, I wanted to update you guys on what's going on in Canada. So people are being arrested in Canada. Also, a judge has just granted an interim injunction against loud honking in Ottawa. Let me show you that. The police chief has asked to double the police force. He's bringing in more reinforcements to try to shut down the movement there. Meanwhile, Canada's leader is still in hiding. Justin Trudeau cannot be found yet. He is still tweeting about the Olympics. He's tweeting from hiding about the Olympics, but he can't be found. Here's a new article. Where is Justin Trudeau? The NDP leader says the prime minister has not been visible. He, on Monday, called for an emergency debate in Parliament to find a way to get the protesters to go home. NDP leader Singh on Monday criticized Justin Trudeau for a lack of leadership, saying the prime minister needs to be present to deal with the protests that have paralyzed the nation, the national capital, around Parliament Hill for more than a week. If the occupation of Ottawa began January 29th, today is day 10. So the convoy remains staged out there in Ottawa, and now law enforcement is getting progressively more aggressive. Let me show you guys this press release from Ottawa Police about their activity over the weekend. 7 people arrested, 100 tickets issued in demonstration-related enforcement. The Ottawa Police Service has made multiple arrests in relation to several enforcement actions related to the ongoing demonstrations. On Sunday, yesterday, 2 people were arrested for mischief. Multiple vehicles and fuel have been seized after officers arrested 3 individuals for mischief. I believe the mischief was actually bringing fuel to the trucks. It says here, other provincial offense notices were issued, including excessive honking, driving the wrong way, defective muffler, no seatbelt, alcohol. Okay, and then they issued a warning advising the public that anyone found bringing fuel to the demonstration trucks in red zone could be subject to arrest and charges. This is effective immediately. There are also over 60 criminal investigations so far related to the demonstrations. Those include mischief, theft, hate crimes, and property damage. Police department's top tweet right now is actually calling on tipsters to report hate crimes. They really want this hate crime narrative to take shape, that Canadians drove all that way to Ottawa because they're racist. That's definitely been the prime minister's narrative. And for anyone paying attention to the convoy, you know that's absolutely bogus. And you really have to be an idiot to think that anyone's in Ottawa because they're racist. Actually, this one tweet here, one of the truckers driving, one of these guys, he's actually delivering some supplies to the truckers who are staged up there. He was delivering food and things to these truckers, and he opened one of the bags from Canadians sending off food and supplies to the truckers, and he starts choking up because he sees what this little girl had given, had made for the truckers staged out there. Here it is. Oh, it's not playing. It says here, reach for the stars, we believe in you. And it's got a little picture of the truck there. Yeah, for some reason this is not replaying now. But she wrapped up a little cookie, and Reach for the stars, we believe in you, and basically tells the truckers, thank you so much for what you're doing, standing up for our human rights, this little girl writes. And so that is why people are in Ottawa. Duh. Even the corporate media gets why people in Ottawa are in Ottawa. It's to protest these overreaching mandates. They're stripping people of a lot of their human rights. And so, meanwhile, the Ottawa police, top thing they're looking out for from the protesters is hate crimes, asking the public to report any hate crimes to them. Ottawa's police chief says that they are really getting aggressive towards these guys. He can't stand these people who continue to stake out. Here's some of what he said.
An increase in police action on the weekend, seizing fuel supplies, making arrests. Is there more of that coming today?
Leslie, certainly we were very clear on Friday at the press conference. I'll repeat it again. We're going to be interdicting anything that is supporting and enabling the ongoing demonstrations and occupations and unlawful behavior in this city. We're going after fuel supplies and any other supports that enables that. You've seen a significant operation overnight that is ongoing, 7 arrests, seizures of large amounts of propane fuel, a fuel tanker. We're holding that area now to make sure it doesn't become reoccupied. That's a challenge for us, but we're going to hold it and lock it down. Any other place where they have displaced to, we are attacking that as quickly as possible to make sure they don't take root again. We've also dismantled the encampment that was at Confederation Park. That was done through peaceful negotiation, but ultimately, if the negotiation was unsuccessful, we would have forcefully ended that encampment. And we've fenced that area in, and we're going to hold that to make sure that that doesn't become misused and unlawfully accessed. Again, those efforts are ongoing. We have other operations that are underway, and we'll report on them as we can. Over 500 tickets were issued. We target hardened the city. We closed roads. We had a 50% reduction in number of trucks and demonstrators in the protest, and Sunday there was almost nothing, including counter-protests. Our measures are taking effect and will continue to do so. The word is out, Leslie. Don't come to protest. If you do it lawfully. If you break the law, there will be consequences. Those supporting and enabling this financially or fuel, we've shut down the GoFundMe. We're continuing to go after the money.
We've shut down the GoFundMe. Are police involved in that shutdown now? Is that what he's saying? Yeah, they GoFundMe stripped away $10 million worth of grassroots donations that people around the world were sending to Canada. They were so proud that someone had finally really organized and said, we're going to go make a big statement against our oppressive government. And Ottawa police are bragging about helping shut that down. Thankfully, there's an alternative. Thankfully, we still have the free market and people can ditch GoFundMe. I think you've all had a good warning now about how crooked GoFundMe is. I mean, I covered a dad whose son died at 16 years old. He had gotten the little needle. 5 days later, died because his heart, according to the autopsy, was double the size. His heart had grown to double the size. He dies, falls over. 5 days later, dad does a GoFundMe to raise money to do a bike ride to DC on his motorcycle. He wanted to let Joe Biden know what's up, and flying a flag of his son saying the needle company killed my kid. Anyway, so he raises all this money and GoFundMe strips that money away from him. So he had to switch to Give, Send, Go. It's happening with dads whose kids have died because, the kid died of the wrong illness. You can't, if your death was related to pharma, then GoFundMe is going to get rid of that because GoFundMe has pharma's back. It's pretty creepy, but it also extends to the convoy. So now we know GoFundMe is sketchy AF and Give, Send, Go is where it's at. Yeah. Now, when I called out Fox for being highly compromised and ditched my job at Fox, Project Veritas was like, "You got to do a fundraiser, Ivory." And anyway, my mom got with them, did a fundraiser, but used Give Send Go from the outset. See, Project Veritas already knew that GoFundMe was sketchy. So anyway, my fundraiser was done on Give Send Go, and it was extremely smooth, wonderful, reliable. I highly recommend Give Send Go. So anyway, all these people who donated to the Canadian convoy have switched right over to Give Send Go seamlessly. Check out the Give Send Go page right now. They already have $5 million in donations. That was a little bit ago. Let me refresh the page. Let's see how big it is. Yeah, 5.2 million donated, and that's from 55,000 different donors who have probably just requested a refund from GoFundMe and promptly put that money right over in Give Send Go. This is one of the convoy organizers, Tamra Litch.
From beautiful. So it's going to be Give Send Go. It is Freedom Convoy 2022. That you can check out their site. There'll be links posted here shortly once we have all this information up.
That's from her Rumble. So those are the organizers of the convoy to Ottawa, which is a pretty big success so far. Now, the Ottawa police chief said that he's pretty confident that the convoy has lost steam, and it was mainly counter protesters, according to him. But the people, my sources out on the ground, Sam Dubé, who I had on my show a few days ago, he's located in Ottawa, and he said these protesters are nowhere done. Yes, it does simmer down during the week, but on weekends, these people are planning every weekend to flood the city again. Again, the truckers are staying put. Truckers are living in their trucks right now. And so, but the regular citizens who are not truckers are flooding back into the city every weekend. That's their plan. Every weekend until these mandates are taken down by the oppressive dictator regime that is now Canadian Parliament. So they'll be back. So Sam Dubé, I was just talking to him on the phone today. He said that Canadians are so up in arms about GoFundMe taking away their $10 million in donations that they are way fired up now. And as soon as they get out of work Friday, they're planning on flooding Ottawa again with a huge protest. So again, the police chief is calling for reinforcements. Now, again, these are all peaceful protests. These people are proud to be peaceful, but he really wants, the police chief really wants reinforcements. Yeah, Justin Trudeau still in hiding. Now, he's saying that it's because he has the illness, but now other leaders in government are saying, look, you've got to get back here and help us resolve this and stop making this excuse that you have the illness. I wanted to show you the official Canadian Freedom Convoy Instagram because they posted one of these guys. This is what's happening is those trucks require a lot of fuel. So people who are part of the freedom movement are taking wagons out there, and they're getting arrested for it.
That if they catch us, they're gonna start ticketing people for aiding the truckers. And so I said, well, aiding what? Like aiding them in their civic duty to protest the government if they disagree with what the government's doing. So I don't know. I'm just gonna keep running gas. It's all been purchased. It's fundraising. I raised $20,000, and I just ran into them like right when I parked. So the moment I got here around 10:30, I've been running gas ever since. You can go through like 3/4 of their gasoline tanks, or the diesel tanks in a week just eating their trucks. So it's a crazy amount of gas that they need to use just to stay warm. The truckers need to stay warm so they can stay here and keep fighting for our freedoms. I wish that Trudeau would talk to them. I wish the politicians would come out. I know some have,
Like, come on out, Trudeau. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm protecting you from my asymptomatic illness. All right. You know what we're all thinking here is this dude is not ill. He's terrified. He's terrified that his city is actually under siege with giant trucks and tough truckers occupying those trucks. Very angry truckers. I know you guys get offended when I call you angry, but the reason you guys went out all the way out on this convoy is because you were so freaking fed up with this oppressive government. And so Trudeau is afraid of the wrath of these people. What do you guys think? Is he actually ill or is he just terrified? I think he's terrified. So the American convoy, here's the deal. Americans were planning a convoy this past weekend to the Michigan-Canada border and the New York-Canada border. And problem is their GoFundMe account was dismantled at the same time that Canada's was. Canada did GoFundMe did a convoy purge. That page is replaying. Okay, so I want to show you the convoy. I'm going to show you their Facebook page. These guys are still using Facebook. I think they keep using Facebook because that's where their people are. It's just like, you probably need to switch to another platform here. They started Telegram channels. They do have active Telegram channels, but the issue is that Telegram is just not as many people are on Telegram. So anyway, here it is. Convoy to DC Saving America. And these are the people who were planning a convoy up to the border. I was going to show you guys the map. They had these maps planned out. They're actually planning that convoy this weekend instead. So they switched to Give, Send, Go. Looks like they took down the maps. They're really regrouping today as we speak. Yeah, they're making updates about it. So I just talked to the organizer, Penny Fay. She's one of the organizers I interviewed last week. She's just a fed up New Yorker who ditched New York for Tennessee. She lives in Tennessee now, and now she's just become a serious activist and sending people up to block the New York border. She and the other organizer, Denby, I talked to both of them. They have set up a Give, Send, Go account because all their money got seized by GoFundMe. So here we go. Here's their Give, Send, Go. Not nearly as much raised in the United States as Canada has raised. Canada grabbed all the headlines and all the money. But they've restarted this now. These organizers are specifically targeting the border. They want to set their sights on DC after the Canadians have become successful in Ottawa. Once mandates are rolled back in Ottawa, Denby tells me she's talking to the organizers in Ottawa who say, we're going to help you guys in DC once we're successful in Ottawa. So she's waiting to get that Canadian support in DC. In the meantime, they want to shut down the borders. And the other convoys, I know the original U.S. convoy got shut down by Facebook. They had over 130,000 followers. Well, this is basically becoming the backup account again. They're on Facebook again. Why are they on Facebook? They should have totally switched to something else. But like I said, they have this Telegram channel right here, but the Telegram channel only has like 2,000 followers. So basically they're still using Facebook because that's where everyone is. So they're reorganizing. There's rumors that the convoy to DC is going to start on February 12th, but people are kind of trying to figure out what to do, having a bit of a hard time, it seems, really focusing in on the best thing to do. Normies being normies, he said. Yeah, guys, I know, here I am still on YouTube because that's where all the audience and advertising dollars are. It's really sad. But I do have those other accounts, and I'm going to start auto-feeding these videos over to Rumble and Frank Speech. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say that, but I just talked to Mike Lindahl today, and he's got a movement for me over there. So it'd be great if we can get enough people over there to just totally ditch YouTube. That'd be great. So anyway, because I'm tired of talking in code words, you guys. I'm tired of talking in stupid YouTube code words. I want to switch attention now to the Olympics. Winter Olympics are currently ongoing. And surprise, surprise, China's playing dirty. Is anyone surprised by that? It's easier than ever to play dirty in a pandemic. You see, China just has to say, hey, we're just looking out for everybody. We got to lock you up. I know you're a very good athlete, but our PCR test says that you've caught the illness. So bye-bye. It's off to the gulags. Yeah, you're not going to be able to compete against our Chinese athlete in this one. I know you trained hard, but you're locked away now. Daily Mail is reporting life in the Olympic gulag. Athletes are crying like crazy in hellish quarantine with miserable food, where hope is dead as dozens miss out on their events after testing positive and being carted off to isolation camps. Athletes complained of hellish conditions in Chinese isolation hotels after dozens were confined with the illness. China has locked away dozens of foreign athletes. Can you believe that? So these athletes are tweeting or Instagramming what their food looks like here. This Russian biathlete, ooh, China is locking up a Russian. This athlete saying, a since deleted Instagram post showing the meal that she claims Chinese Olympic officials gave her to eat 3 times a day for 3 days in a row. She probably put that pic up and people were like, take it down, you're offending China. They'll give you even worse food. So she takes it down. Like, this is what you're walking into when you go to China. I mean, there were articles weeks ago warning athletes not to criticize the Chinese government because China doesn't like criticism. That's the eggshells you're walking on when you're going to a Chinese hosted Olympics. So here these people are delivering food and supplies to these elite level athletes. Germany's team boss has said the conditions inside isolation hotels are unacceptable, complaining of lack of exercise equipment. Yeah, these athletes can't even stay up to par while they're locked away. Here's this Belgian athlete bawling her eyes out. I'm going to play that clip for you guys. It's quite interesting. And here's this athlete here. This is a U.S. bobsledder trying to do some Olympic lifting in about a little 4 square foot room. Trying to stay in shape. I'm sorry, U.S. bobsledder. You are our PCR test says that you're not feeling well. So you're going to be locked away, and China's going to compete without you, and China's going to win. I'm sure that's what the Chinese health officials are saying. Hey, the U.S. won a couple too many medals. Can you guys get a few more people into quarantine? I think some more people just came down with something. So this Belgian athlete, I guess she rides those little pods. Those pods that slide down the ice. I guess that's what she does. I don't watch a lot of Winter Olympics, but this girl lost it. So they lock her away into quarantine. She thinks she's about to get out, but China says, not so fast. In fact, you might never get out. You might spend all of the Olympics in the gulags.
Some of you have read the good news that I was sent out of the isolation facility. We thought this meant I was allowed to return to the Olympic Village and will be treated maximum as a close contact. On the way to the village, we did not turn to the village. but the ambulance went to another facility where I am now.
Sorry, we were just moving you to Gulag number 2.
I am supposed, my NOC got surprised by this decision as well. I'm supposed to stay here for another 7 days with 2 PCRs a day and no contact with anybody else.
2 PCR tests a
I am
day.
allowed to slide alone. We are not even sure I will ever be allowed to return to the village. And obviously this is very hard for me. So I ask you all to give me some time to consider my next steps, because I'm not sure I can handle 14 more days and the Olympic competition while being in this isolation. Thank you.
Can you imagine the blood, sweat, and tears she's put into becoming the most elite level athlete in her sport? And China locks her away in a gulag. And just on the day she thinks she's finally going to get out of the gulag and go back to the Olympic village, she watches, she's riding this little bus that takes her on to another gulag. Sorry, you thought you had freedom. Not so fast. Here's your new gulag. This just reminds me a lot of the concentration camps where people would get loaded onto a train and they wouldn't know where they're going. And then they get out and they're like, oh, am I free? They're loading me onto another train. Nope, I'm just going to another concentration camp. So this is just way too creepily similar to that, but also hilarious because she, like, I'm sorry, but we all knew how creepy China was. I thought we did. And I honestly, I would not go to China for the life of me right now. It's a really bad place for foreigners to go right now. And I turned down China when they were offering me a high-paying TV job in 2019 because I didn't feel safe there at that time. China locks up journalists. Now they're locking up athletes. And I mean, I feel bad for her. But it's also kind of funny. Kind of funny how easy it could be for China to win these Olympics if they just lock up all the best athletes. I'm sorry. I heard you sniffling, and I think it's safer for everybody if you spend the next 14 days in quarantine, just to be safe. But all the Chinese athletes are doing great, so they're going to be able to compete. Strange times we live in. Strange times. Would I go to Canada? You said. You know, I've really been thinking I should get up to Canada and cover their occupation in person, but they do have very strange border crossing rules right now that I'm not going to participate in. I'm really weird about some of the stuff. Well, actually, ever since I called out Fox and got really public and continued to criticize the FBI, my mom said I shouldn't leave the country at all. I think I'd probably be fine to leave the country in some capacity, but yeah, leaving the country when you criticize tyranny can be dangerous because tyranny is very popular amongst tyrants right now. And when you're a tyrant, you'll do some pretty extreme things to keep your tyranny going. So I just have to consider that when I travel internationally. And I just have to be aware that if the tyrants in the US government wanted to do away with someone who criticized the US FBI, that it'd be a good, it'd be easy for them to say, oh, a foreign accident happened to her. We don't know what happened. Some freak accident happened while she was in that foreign country. Sorry. You know, if an American tyrant wants to get rid of a freedom lover in the U.S., get rid of that person while that person's in a foreign country. I'm just saying. So I have to be aware of those things when I travel internationally, and I think that all freedom fighters should be aware of that, and just be aware of weird freak accidents like happen, like the CEO, Sheryl Sandberg, COO of Facebook. She's a raging feminist, one of the most extreme feminists that I've seen. I think it's strange that her husband died of a treadmill accident while they were vacationing in Mexico. She doesn't have to deal with him anymore. How many people die on treadmills? Well, the COO of Facebook's husband died on a treadmill. Gigantic gash to his head after slipping off of his treadmill. Many people have slipped off of treadmills. How often do they get their head sliced open? Mexican police couldn't solve that mystery. Oh, fluke accident. I'm not trying to die on a treadmill anywhere, and that's why I haven't left the country recently. Maybe I will someday, once I have a big bodyguard. Yeah, so just be careful, you guys. Oh, closing note. I wanted to close. How much do you think this controversy over Joe Rogan will hurt him? Show of hands. How many people think Joe Rogan will be hurt? Did you know it's been exactly a year since video of Morgan Wallen, the country artist, came out showing him saying the N-word? There is a new article from Rolling Stone. Did dropping the N-word actually help Morgan Wallen's career? A year after the singer came to represent country music's race problem, Wallen has a sold-out tour, a radio hit, and headlining gigs at summer festivals. I also remember within days after video surfacing of him saying the N-word, articles were out about his music topping charts. Morgan Wallen's music topped the charts immediately after he said the N-word. I remember my Fox bosses bringing them up this up in the morning meeting. They were so disgusted about how apparently racist America was. It's clear to anyone who has their finger on the pulse of how Americans are actually feeling right now. Americans are insanely fed up with cancel culture. And so what Americans were doing with Morgan Wallen was boycotting cancel culture. It's not that any American actually liked that he said the N-word. Okay. It's just they are fed up with cancel culture, and seeing people try to cancel him made people buy his music, actually. So people are boycotting cancel culture, and I have a feeling that Joe Rogan's gonna be just fine, for sure. So actually, Rumble just today they offered Joe Rogan $100 million to switch to Rumble. Ditch Spotify, air your podcasts on Rumble. Rumble tweeted at him saying, we want to do, they wrote him an open Twitter letter saying, we want to do a 4-year contract with you for $100 million. No word from Rogan yet on whether he's going to do that. If Spotify cancels him, he probably will. Here's the thing. If Spotify cancels Rogan, his audience goes where he goes. Spotify is going to suffer a massive loss if they cancel him. And they know that he has a backup plan now. He has a big backup plan. Sorry, I'm getting a call. He has a big backup plan with Rumble. And Rumble will cash in massively if that happens. In fact, they'll become a huge YouTube competitor if that happens. This would be humongo. This would be very damaging to YouTube as well if Rogan switches to Rumble. So, therefore, seeing the contract offer from Rumble is going to be more incentive for Spotify to say, I am not canceling Rogan or I'm going to hurt myself. So that's the situation. That is the situation. And that was actually the car people. The car people calling me. I'm finally going to get a car. I think I'm going to lease a car, not buy a car, because cars depreciate like crazy. If you guys follow my Instagram, you know I've been searching for a car for like 6 months. It's been so freaking hard with the supply chain issue and starting my own business. I don't have time to go car hunting. I'm finally closing on a car today. So, yay me. Anyway, so that's that. A lot of news going on. I was hoping to keep this shorter than it ended up being. I was hoping to do that rundown faster, but maybe I can get more up to speed the more I do these YouTubes. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.